It has happened. I knew it was going to. A member of the Congress, Democratic representative, well, he gives Matt Gaetz business. Here it is.
Every day, our military grows more diverse, more and more reflecting the diversity of our nation. This amendment does nothing to address the recruitment shortfalls that our services are facing, and instead it will only make it more difficult to recruit Americans on diverse backgrounds, representing the true makeup of our nation. What are you so afraid of? Why do you keep bringing these divisive issues to the body of this floor? You are out of order. You are exhausting, Mr. Gaetz.
The gentleman is no longer recognized. The gentleman is no longer recognized.
We recognize the gentleman. It's okay. It's all right. Y'all don't have to recognize him. We recognize him. Put him up. Let's call the people's champ. Democratic Representative Stephen Horsford's temper went to what I call a righteous indignation level during the US House debate Thursday night over a GOP introduced amendment to a military spending bill that would scrub diversity, equity, and inclusion programs from the United States Defense Department. The Nevada Democrat singled out Gaetz for his support of the amendment. Let's put up Gaetz. There he is, that guy who supports all things racist these days. Congress's decades-long streak of bipartisan support for his annual defense policy and spending plan collapsed Friday after House Republicans rammed through the most conservative National Defense Authorization Act in decades, restricting military personnel's access to reproductive care and diversity protections, and imperiling lawmakers' broader effort to set major national security protocols. Republicans maintain a narrow majority in the House, voted late into the night Thursday approving amendments to the NDAA that rolled back Pentagon policies that allow service women to travel out of state to obtain an abortion, and that fund diversity, equity, and inclusion programs operated through the Department of Defense. They also added prohibitions on specialized healthcare sought by transgender troops or members of their families. All were non-starters for many Democrats who have argued that the Pentagon's efforts to recognize and attract a diverse workforce are necessary both to right a history of discrimination and to bolster the armed forces as they struggle to recruit and retain top talent. The House's version of the bill, totaling $886 billion, passed on a vote of 219 to 210, carrying a razor-thin Republican majority. 4 Democrats voted in favor of the legislation. The outcome sets up a showdown with the Senate, where lawmakers are expected to vote next week on this version of the legislation, which lacks the divisive components pushed by the GOP and the hard right wing. All right. Hell of a thing, right? They are literally known for simply taking rights away from people. They want to take your right of access away as it relates to travel. I mean, literally, the bill says if a woman wants to travel to a state where it's legal to have an abortion, let's go ahead and prohibit that. Let's prohibit that. Well, that's constitutional. That's a constitutional violation. How? You have the right to mobility. Interstate travel is actually a constitutional right. It's in the Constitution. You have a right to it. They are taking rights away. How are they remaining relevant? Because Democrats are sleeping. They're apathetic. They are very good at putting on a show to seem as if they give a damn about the rights being taken away. But when you look at what actually is done, who pushes the needle, who thinks outside of the box, who comes up with creative ways to still execute good policy, not the left, or at least not those in charge on the left. Jeff, thoughts?
So, okay, An internal Defense Department survey obtained by NBC News found that more than half of the young Americans who answered the survey, about 57%, think they would have emotional or psychological problems after serving in the military. Nearly half think they would have physical problems. So like, I don't know, ensure healthcare or mental health resources for soldiers, a little bit better, bolstering that up. But here's what I want to know from you, actually, Dr. Richey. Is that the strategy? Have I been missing this the whole time to where the GOP is making people tired and the Democrats aren't engaged enough to know what the heck is going on? So they tire the Dems in order for them to ignore something that could possibly bolster US military recruitment like healthcare and mental health resources. Is that the thing here? Making them tired, just exhausting them with nonsense?
I think that's part of it. I think it's exhausting them with nonsense, but also getting their focus away from the thing that actually creates a remedy. It's called framing the debate. So they will frame a group of principles together and act as if these are the only principles worth talking about or addressing. And usually Democrats fall for it, right? So they'll start talking about what the Republicans want them to talk about rather than talking about the remedy or the solution that is still available for every American. All right, but good observation.